Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaos. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I am your keeper, Michael, and I have assembled with me a cast and crew for your investigation entertainment this evening. I want to open the show and thank all of our patrons for their support. We greatly appreciate it. You are helping fund our adventures and possibly our misadventures. The cast will now introduce themselves. To my right.
Yes, this is Lonnie. I'm playing Lawrence Edward Oliver Forsyth, and I also thank all the patrons. You're wonderful people.
To Lonnie's right.
I'm Morgan. I play Lillian Lane, and, ditto what Mike and Lonnie said, but, we're moving on.
Indeed we are. At the end of the virtual table.
This is Jake. I'm playing Jack Doyle. Yeah, I thank everybody. Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Very, very heartfelt to Jack's right.
This is James. I'll be playing Dr. Sigmund Tartenbach. And yes, I'd like to throw my thanks onto the pile. Thank you.
It's just a pile of them. To the doctor's right.
This is Tiffany. I play Mae Vaucher, and it's wonderful that we have so many listeners and backers.
It is. It really, really is. And then last but most certainly not least.
This is Alex. I'm playing Simon Granger, and even though I'm a recent addition to the cast, I'm actually pretty excited about all the support it's been getting. So keep it up. Thank you.
So we draw the curtain up on a scene that takes place during the daytime. So we are back in Derbyshire for another bit of investigating around a very curious case of some dead folks. We're going to open tonight with Jack Doyle on a long country stroll. So, Jack, you had decided this morning to head up to Mamtor. It is a blissful walk. The storms of last night have subsided. There's no more rain to be found. Actually, about the time you're walking up to the site, it's clear winter day. It's a little brisk. But again, nothing as cold as, say, Chicago or even New York for that matter. The elevation is fairly odd for this area. I mean, it must be 1,000 feet or more up to the top. You can see the surrounding area as you begin to make your ascent is filled with farmland, all sorts of different patches of agriculture and small stone walls. You get a wonderful view of the village itself. One of the things that you see down below, facing, you can see the church from here.
As I'm going up, I will keep an eye on the side of the path and whatnot I'm looking for this wolfsbane that Maeve had asked me to pick up. And I'm also kind of looking to see if there's anything interesting or maybe out of place up here.
You take a look around a little bit. Wolfsbane, that purple flower that they had drying above the bar, is available here. I mean, it isn't probably more than a third of the way up before you see a few sprigs of it here and there. So picking some of it is relatively elementary.
And she didn't tell me how much she wanted. I should get, so I'll just get a handful of it.
2 to 3 bushels, probably.
Yeah,
a bale.
Mm-hmm.
So you continue your way up after picking, and I'd like you to make me a spot hidden roll.
Right, that's a hard success. 44 under fit 92.
I see that. So what draws your eye is not something necessarily on the pathway up, not on the path itself. It's actually a bit to the south and to the east. What you see on the other side of this elevation is what appears to be some sort of mine. Now, it's not on Mamtor, it's actually on the next hill over. But you see a couple of vehicles. They look like flatbed trucks. And you see that they're working, that there are men working. It definitely looks like some sort of mine, though. It has a very characteristical opening, wood slats, and then you see wheelbarrows and the like that are nearby.
All right, I'll pull out my field glasses and have a look.
Yeah, just taking a look at this mine and with your field glasses gives you a fair read at the location. There's some sort of rickety fencing that runs up along the road to it. It's a gravel road. And then there seems to be some sort of small shack or structure nearby. And then built into the side of this grassy hill is a small stone wall which surrounds an opening that looks like it goes into a mine. And that definitely looks like limestone in those wheelbarrows.
Okay. So it's more of a quarry than a mine?
It's not a quarry because it's not open. It definitely goes down.
Remind me again what they said about this tour.
One of the things that they talked about was it stands over 500 meters in elevation. And then as you kind of continue your way up there, you can see that there are, at the peak anyway, there are burial mounds there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll continue heading up.
You reach the top. The whole walk probably takes you about 45 minutes to an hour at a fairly reasonable pace. And the view here is breathtaking. I mean, it's an amazing view. It's a reward for all of the walk, that's for sure. You can see the entire village.
Okay, I will kind of take a look around with my field glasses, see if I can see anything interesting other than the mine or the town itself.
Well, if you look north of where you're at right now, which I'm assuming you would look in probably every direction for that matter.
Yeah.
What you do see is you see up on one of the ridges beyond north of the village itself, you can see what appears to be some sort of castle or fort. There's a fortification or some sort of castle that's beyond the village.
Oh, would that be the place that they were talking about where the local lord?
Yeah, you believe that's Plum Castle, where Arthur Vane lives.
Okay. Well, at least I'm getting a pretty good layout of the local area.
And then on your way down, because I assume you're not going to stay up there for the rest of your life.
No.
Why don't you go ahead and make me one more spot hidden roll?
Yeah, 6,292.
On the way down, probably near the bottom of it, near one of these rickety fences on a post nearby, you see a scrap of what looks like fabric, white fabric, that's dirty to bit.
All right, I'll definitely go check that out.
Looking at this material, it's definitely fabric, but what catches your eye about it, and maybe what drew you to it in the first place, is along one edge of it, you can see that there is a fair amount of lace frill, and possibly from a lady's dress.
Yeah, that's what I would assume.
It's definitely wet.
So I was out here last night when it was raining.
Yeah, and it doesn't by any means look fresh. It looks like it's been out probably for a while.
All right, are there any footprints around here or anything? Tracks?
Not that you can readily see.
I mean, if it's been here a while, there are probably any tracks that were here are gone, but I was just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, just giving a fair look around the spot itself, you don't see any animal tracks or footprints.
All right, I'll take this piece of fabric and head back and continue down.
There's definitely some sort of, not not just mud, but there's something else on this.
Something else, huh?
There's some sort of stain to it. It's hard to tell exactly what it is.
Blood, maybe, or something else.
All right, I will leave you there momentarily. I will shift the camera then to Simone, who is stopping by the church at some point here closer towards the noon hour. As you're going through and surveying the village and kind of taking note of where people live and doing some topographical drawings, you get near the church and you see that there's a small house that's set back from the church but is still on church property. And it catches your eye because you see an older man, mostly bald, who's definitely and fits the part of a vicar, making his way towards the church. He has an empty plate in his hand.
I will kind of halt my approach. Does he look like he's just heading inside? Or does it look like he's coming from... Oh, he's coming from the... Is there like a convent nearby or like a residence?
Yeah, it looks like there's a vicarage.
Okay. All right, I'll definitely note that. What else like comprises that area? So there's the church, there's a vicarage, there's...
There's not a lot to this village. So honestly, what you see beyond just beyond the vicarage, just beyond the houses, the thing that dominates the landscape is Mamtor. It's the hill.
Okay. Then I'll wait for the vicar to go inside, and I'm going to be waiting for the others to kind of start gathering.
Mm-hmm.
So I might pace the grounds a bit. It looks like there's a pond nearby.
Yeah.
So I'll probably stroll around the church land, keep an eye out for people wandering in from the troop.
Yeah, I mean, you can see them making their way around the town. I mean, it's the area that you're in very much so. Even though there are trees and hedges and whatnot, there are 4 people walking together definitely stick out.
Sure.
You see him walk inside the church. What's your next step then?
I'm just waiting for the... because I was supposed to meet up with the rest of the group at the church. So after he goes in, I'll walk around for a little while, and then I'll probably make my way inside. Bless myself as I come in. I'll take a pew near the rear and maybe kick my feet up a bit since I've been walking around all morning and shuffle through my notes, organize my stuff. Do I see him here? Like, is he tending to the place?
He does seem to be tending. He's actually speaking with an older woman at this point.
Okay.
You see her as you're, just kind of collecting yourself, and after she finishes speaking with him, she begins walking down the center aisle towards you, and she's an elderly lady. She's definitely grayed-haired, glasses. She's kind of hunched a bit. She has a shawl over her, and she seems to be bundled a bit, probably likely because of the winter weather. She greets you with a smile. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I am doing quite well this morning. I had a lovely stroll around your delightful village. It has been a pleasure so far. Everyone I met has been very friendly.
Her weathered and wrinkled face kind of almost continually has a continuous smile. Her eyes are a bit closed. She just nods along with you. Yes, it's a wonderful place. We just absolutely love it here. We're glad that you're here.
Have you lived here long?
She smiles and nods again. Yes, all my life.
Then I can only assume that you would have much to say about this place.
She looks around. Oh, the church? Yes. Newly built. She kind of pats the pew close to her. We lost the former building, unfortunately, back in 2006 to a fire.
Oh, that is dreadful to hear. I'm sorry.
Well, we've got the Vane family to thank for the stones that you see here. They're great patronage of the church, and they've really been just so wonderful.
It would seem so.
What brings you to the village?
Oh, I am here with some of my co-workers. We are looking into some matters of concern that people back in London were curious about, so they sent us as a team of investigators to determine the nature of the issue and whether or not it is a matter of concern.
I see. Well, if it's this business on the dog, the constable's taking care of it. He's maybe he enjoys Sunday dinner a bit too much, but he's a good boy and he's done his job. She again pats the pew.
I'm absolutely certain that is the case, but far be it from me to deny myself a chance to experience the countryside.
Well,
On the boss's expense, I'll wink at her.
You're not sure she picks up on it, but she says, if you have a moment, you should go to some of our. She kind of taps her fingers together if she's trying to think of something. Up to Mam Tor, the hill there. It's an amazing view of the country.
I'll kind of shuffle through my notes again, like tourist style, and I'll note the location that she's giving me. Is that like is Mam Tor like to the east of the town?
Mam Tor specifically is kind of south and east.
Okay.
From what you got, the information you got at the general store, it's kind of their big thing. It's kind of what brings people out here. It's one of the higher elevation points. It's supposedly, from the information you have on it, it was used as a fort in the old times. There's burial grounds up there.
Okay. So it's definitely like a historical landmark.
Oh, for sure.
I will do myself the service of not missing it.
Now, are you from France?
Oui.
Well, we lost a few there in France fighting, but it was the right thing to do.
War has a tendency to take its toll on many. Every death is tragic.
I couldn't agree more. If you're here for confession, I can let the vicar know.
I'm only waiting for some of my friends to arrive so that we can pray together.
Wonderful. She just gives you a silent nod, and she turns to step away, and then she stops and says, I apologize. Terrible, of course. My name is Sarah Bright.
Madame, it is a pleasure to meet you. I'm Simon.
It's good to meet you, Simone. She struggles with the accent.
Sure. Yeah, I'll make sure I stand up as she's leaving and kind of offer my hand out and, kind of gently take her fingers if she offers them. And
she does. She seems very much a Victorian era courtesy type of thing. She extends her hand and she goes through all of the pomp and circumstance of the pleasantries that you have seen mostly shooed away in the U.S. Over the past few years.
Yeah, I'll give her a bit of a bow. It has been a pleasure, madame.
You hear footsteps. And, coming up the long path is the man you saw previously, the vicar. He's relatively tall. He's a bit older, but not as old as, say, Sarah is. He steps up and extends his hand. Greetings, my child.
I'll take his hand.
I am Vicar Stratton. It's good to have you within the Lord's house.
It has been a pleasure to be here so far.
If there's anything I can do for you or to assist you in feeling at home here, I'm here to help.
Actually, I am waiting for some friends to arrive who I believe are hoping to speak with you if you have some time to spare.
Well, I am here for all of God's children. Now I'm going to move the camera to what I call the gaggle of four who are out futzing and making trouble. So you've finished with your talk, and as you're turning to kind of walk out of his yard and continue down the path, you see a man, a rather large man in a stuffed uniform. I say stuffed because this constable seems to have not missed a single dinner or snack. He's probably a fan of Second Breakfast and Elevensies and the like. So in that way, he is after my own heart. You see him walking up the path. He looks a little bemused. He seems a very happy fellow. But he is definitely making his way towards you. He directs his eyes towards Mr. Forsyth. Good morning.
Good morning.
Is everything all right?
Absolutely. It's a fine day.
Looks each one of you over a bit.
I just looked down.
Taking in a bit of the countryside.
So I heard. I stopped by the Laughing Horse Inn. They said that we'd had visitors.
A wonderful establishment.
A Sunday dinner's not to be missed.
I'll be sure to have one if we are still here.
What brings you?
Investigation? We are following a trail that a friend of ours had followed previously. What he was researching is of great interest to us.
Really? And what would that be?
He seemed to find the recent troubles that you had with the large canine creature of particular interest.
Well, that matter's been sorted. He seems to almost subconsciously adjust his uniform a little bit.
Can I get a psychology on him?
Sure.
24 under 75. That is a hard success, sir.
Very good. He is absolutely putting up a pretense.
Well, of course, we understand that the situation has been satisfactorily settled. We are just looking into the aftermath stories, just to make sure that everything is fine and to satisfy our own curiosity.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as everyone else in this village is concerned, the matter's closed. The beast has gone off to die in the hills somewhere. We've had no trouble since I shot that blighter. Thank God.
Indeed, thank God.
You shot it?
Yes, I shot it. He gives you a strong nod. Shot it myself. You miss, he points at you, Lillian. You're here to ask questions about this thing, too?
Where did you shoot this animal at?
Chased it off into the wood there. Tracked it down. He points off in a southeasterly direction.
And what did it look like?
It looked like a big black dog.
It wasn't walking on hind legs or anything like that. It was just on all fours.
Hind legs? No.
And would you say that it was a large dog? How large do you say? Kind of judging with my hand off the ground, like, kind of moving it up and down a little.
He moves his hand to about his mid-thigh or so. I'd say about that tall at the shoulder.
Mein Gott, that was a very large dog. You are lucky to be okay.
Yeah, was being the key word there.
Of course, was.
But you never saw a body?
A body? No, thing ran off before I could get a second shot off at it. It was dark.
So we're not entirely sure that it's dead.
I'm sure that it's dead. James, you watch him butch up a little bit when he says, I'm sure that it's dead.
Mm-hmm. Draws up his defense mechanism even more.
Oh yeah, you bet.
I'm sure it is dead. I'm sure, don't worry. In fact, our investigation may well turn up its body, which would, of course, be quite a relief to you.
Yeah, I'd like to mount the head over my wall.
Well, if it turns up, we will definitely do what we can.
I don't want to break your plans up or anything, but you're wasting your time. The case is closed. It's gone. It's probably dead.
Is he, I guess one more psychology roll, is he being vaguely, ominously threatening about that?
You can roll psychology if you'd like to discern whether or not he's threatening you.
66 under 75.
No, James, what you get from that is a full glass of desperation to drink. What he wants is for you to go away. He seems, for the most part, a fairly affable person. It's just that he wants this subject to go away.
Sorry, he wants us to stop poking the bear.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
He's definitely reticent, for sure.
Well, do not worry, we will be out of your hair in quite a hurry.
You enjoy your time here, and if there's anything you need my help with, I'll be around.
Wunderbar, officer, and thank you for your time.
He tips his cap to you all. Good day, ladies.
Good day.
Well, whatever else he is, he's no damn hunter.
Well, if the thing ran off, it's not dead.
He is worried that it is not dead, and I think with reason.
Well, eventually, at some point, one of us or more of us will have to go into the woods after it, won't we?
I think it would be for the good of this town if we do, providing we are properly prepared.
Jack, you come back into town about this time.
Okay.
You can see from your vantage point coming up the road that it looks like the group of them just got finished talking with that constable. He's walked off in the direction of the inn.
I might as well meet up with them.
You all see Jack coming up the road.
Well, guten Morgen, Jack.
Morning. How's your day been?
Wonderful.
Interesting.
I definitely think there's something to investigate.
Something's not right.
Maybe we should go get some lunch and then talk it over a bit.
Aren't we supposed to be meeting Simon at the church?
Yes.
Well, I guess we will meet Simon at the church and then get some lunch and talk it over.
So should we go to the church? Tally ho.
Tally ho. You head to the church. Simone, your discussion, your greeting with the vicar is interrupted only lightly by 5 people entering the church at once.
We're all stuck in the doorway at the same time.
I was gonna say, like, speak of the devil, but I really didn't want to do that in a church. So I just kind of gesture vaguely at them.
I like the picture of all 5 of them trying to walk through the door at the same time.
Yeah.
Why you?
You all who are coming in, the 5 of you, see Simone talking with an older man, probably about 6 foot or so tall. He's probably in his 50s, mostly bald, wearing well pressed outfit of a vicar. Has the vicar's collar. Seems to be having a chat with Simon at the moment. He turns as he sees many more people come in.
Please, pardon me, Vicar Stratton. Now that they are here, I'm hoping that you can speak with them. I have to get back to my ledger and my notes. But please, I will gesture toward the group and kind of wave them forward. Who's walking in front?
Probably Jack.
Monsieur Doyle, this is Vicar Stratton. He is here to help the children of God. Pardonnez-moi. And I'll step aside.
Oh my God.
Slide back into the pew.
Okay.
And I'm going to make busy with my papers. I'm going to pay very, very close attention to the vicar. One other question. Did Miss Bright leave?
She did, yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. That was all.
He kind of extends his arms out a bit wide and says, well, welcome to all of you.
Vicar?
Reverend is fine. Vicar is a formal. Reverend is fine.
Forgive me, I'm not used to how it's done in this country.
It's perfectly fine. The eyes of the Lord are here with all of us.
So can we talk to you about the events that happened not so long ago?
What events?
The animal attacks?
Oh. Yes, terrible situation, fortunately. He leans a bit on the nearby pew. It seems, though, that our constable was able to deal with the situation.
But there was no body of the animal, right?
No, we sent a few people out into the nearby wood the next day with the constable in an attempt to track the thing down, but didn't find it, at least to my knowledge. Now, it could have tucked itself into a hole somewhere, or maybe back in its den and died, but as far as this village is concerned, the matter's closed. The beast has been dealt with.
Did the sheriff go out all by himself?
He looks at you. Sheriff?
The constable.
Yes, he made it a point to make sure the situation was dealt with. After all, they eventually had some men here from London to investigate it, members of the police force.
What can you tell us about the nights that these attacks happened?
The beast came and went. Sometimes you'd hear it howling out there on the fields, and we told all of the people of the village that they needed to be wary and be aware that we were looking to deal with the creature, but some people had seen a dog shifting about the village. It was larger than normal, and people began to spin tales about how it was, it's Black Tom again. It's the creature of the Northwoods. It's all these things are just stories people tell themselves.
Right, fairy tales.
Now,
Folk tales.
Folk tales, whatever you'd like to call them. But the truth of the matter is, it was most likely a dog from one of the nearby villages, or maybe it was just a wild dog. They do exist. I kept trying to tell the parishioners here, it's not as if wild dogs are totally gone from the entire continent. I mean, and yes, maybe it fattened itself up over the course of a few years and was bigger than normal. Or maybe, just maybe, it had a large mother. Who knows? I feel like our village, ever since the war ended, has maybe gotten a little too close to some of the old folklore tales. They're desperate for something to believe in, and that's why we do our best to correct that thinking here.
Right, of course.
I have a question, sorry. Does it feel like he's trying to convince himself or us?
That would be a psychology roll.
Okay.
61 under 75 for psychology.
Sigmund, you can tell just from his general outlook, he doesn't react the same way that the constable did, in the sense that he's not trying to butch it up, but he is trying to paint a veneer over what had happened in the past. So same goal, different method.
Right, they're both trying to cover up something that they're afraid of, and
Right.
or, causing them consternation.
So he turns to the group. So you came all the way here from, most of you sound American.
We came here at the request of a friend.
The last request of a friend, as it were.
Well, I can appreciate you wanting to fulfill a last request, but I assure you the village has hopefully seen the last of any sort of wild dogs.
I'm going to tug on the end of the doctor's jacket from my seat in the pew. And when I have his attention, I'll just kind of gesture, come here.
Probably fairly easy to do.
I slide over to Simone. Yeah?
Is there anything wrong with what the vicar is telling us?
But him and the constable were lying. They are lying about they're covering something up quite important. They are afraid, and neither of them actually believes what they're saying. Not completely.
You did speak to the constable.
I did.
The vicar kind of still looks like he's... Does he still look like he's rather engaged with the group, or does he look like he's about to be other things?
I guess the key transition point here is when you tug on the doctor's coat and he turns to you to talk to you, who among the group is picking up the ball that Sigmund drops by dropping the conversation?
I will.
Okay.
I will tell the doctor, keep the vicar talking. I'm going to take a look around. And I'm going to slink off.
Simone moves off, and then you pick up your conversation with Reverend Stratton.
Reverend, I had a couple questions. I was hoping you'd help me.
Of course, my child. What can I help you with?
I was wondering if you could tell us more about Lord Cromwell and his family that live up in that very, very big castle.
He furrows his brow a bit. You mean Lord Vane? Yes. Lord Arthur Vane is
Yes.
wonderful patron of the church here.
Does he have any children, and he's married?
Unfortunately, the Lord's wife passed many years ago. He does have a few children he's been blessed with, Lawrence and Eloise.
And how old are they?
Oh, well, they must be into their 20s by now. I believe Eloise has just turned 21, and Lawrence 23.
Was Lawrence around at all when the beast was attacking? Was there any accounts of that?
Well, if memory serves correctly, he was out and about on that night, but I don't know if he had any direct role in it, if that's what you're asking.
Does Lord Vane come to service here every Sunday?
Oh, yes, without fail.
What day is today?
Wednesday, we'll say.
Okay. Okay, well, if we're still in town on Sunday, I'll have to attend services.
Oh, we would love to have you.
Thank you.
I'm standing around being very uncomfortable.
Reverend Stratton moves a bit and kind of steps a bit closer to you, Maeve, and says, "Is this your first time in a church here?"
Here, yes.
You know, this church isn't as old as it looks. It was actually built within the past 20 or so years. We lost the last church in a fire.
The fire?
A fire.
No, a fire.
Yes, the Lord Vane was nice enough giving enough, I should say, to help us build a new one.
What caused the old fire?
Although she'll probably never admit it, my faithful servant, Miss Bright, left a series of candles burning, and it caught an older tapestry. And once the tapestry went, some of the wood that you've seen that has been replaced and changed in the older church came down much lower, and once it got to the interior structure, there wasn't a whole lot saving. But we're still on solid ground here. The grounds have been consecrated for hundreds of years.
Reverend, is there any place in town where they keep records of the happenings of the town?
Absolutely. The most of the town records are kept in the vicarage.
In the vicarage, huh? Is there any way we could look through those?
I can't say that we get many requests to look through our town records. If there's something specific you're looking for, I'd be happy to help you, but...
Well, you understand that this whole thing has drawn up quite a bit of public interest in some of the more yellow journalistic papers in London and whatnot. And so in order to put it to rest, I would really like to do a more thorough investigation, just to say that we completely went through everything and we found nothing.
I have to tell you, this is not the first time someone's asked to stick their hands in our business. We got a couple of reporters over the past few months that have been desperate to gin up some sort of interest in this story. And we had members from Scotland Yard here doing investigations. They turned up nothing. And the constable, Tumwell's done his job. He shot the beast and it's gone.
I have no doubt that you're absolutely correct, but again, we're trying to follow up on this last request of a friend, and if we can just put it to rest, then hopefully you'll never have to deal with somebody from out of town asking these kinds of questions again.
All right, Jake, why don't you make a persuade roll?
Womp womp. No, that's not good.
That does not appear to be a success. That's an 82 out of 25.
Yeah.
He gives you a look and says, as much as I desire to be as open and as I can with all of you, just allowing a group of people to rifle through the town's records it's not something that would go over very well with really any of us. Now, the matter is closed as far as I'm concerned.
What about Mr. Perkins? I bet he doesn't come to church anymore, does he?
The Reverend looks at you. John Parkins was never what I would say is a regular churchgoer, if that's what you're asking. But I don't know that I like your insinuation.
I'm not insinuating anything, other than the fact that Mr. Perkins doesn't go to church very often. And he also doesn't consider the matter closed. He lost a daughter, you know. It's a terrible thing, losing a child.
I do know, sir. I helped to bury it. Before you make any further insinuations, I'll remind you that this village is a small, tight-knit community. And so what happens to one of us happens to all of us. Now, I have some things to attend to. He turns around and walks off.
I think you made him mad.
That went well. Can we go now?
Where's Simone at?
Simone, you move outside, and you are gonna try to see what's going on out there. Is it the gist I'm getting?
Yeah, I'm gonna head outside, see if I can spot Mrs. Bright. She wasn't moving very quickly, was she?
No, she's spry. Her movement rate's at least 10 to 12. She's
All right, great.
up and quick. Why don't you go ahead and give me a spot hidden roll?
54 over 50. Can I spend 4 luck, please?
You can spend 4 luck if you'd like to make that a success. You see that her path has gone out of the church and gone to the vicarage. She kind of winds her way through past the cemetery and is now entering the vicarage.
Does it look like there's only one entrance?
It does, yes. Of all the vicarages is a house.
Okay. Well, I know if there was like a back door, side door, or anything like that. I'll head that way.
You head that way.
And I will, again, keeping an eye out for anybody who might find my activity suspicious.
You do notice that there seems to be a gardener who is doing some work in the cemetery, but he's head down doing some pretty direct work. He doesn't seem to notice you at all as you walk past.
As I approach the vicarage, I'll get pretty low.
Uh-huh.
And I'll try to spot for Mrs. Bright through the windows.
Yep.
How many stories is the place?
It's just a single story.
Okay.
It's got a tall roof, but you can tell it's just a single story. You see her in there. She seems to be sweeping and moving around. It looks like she's getting together lunch in the kitchen.
Okay. So she seems otherwise occupied.
Oh, yes.
Quaint little town like this, I'm guessing that door's not locked.
No, it's the 20s, man. Nobody locks their doors.
So I will quietly make my way inside.
You will immediately make a stealth roll.
Sure.
You are why they lock their doors now.
That is a 67 over 75.
You slip on in. You even kind of casually, reseal the door a bit so that way it doesn't look like anything's out of place. You do realize, even as your pulse begins to heighten, there are only so many places in this house to move to.
I understand, but the kitchen is not where I'm going.
Okay, so the kitchen is to the right. So are you going immediately left then?
Yeah, basically, I'm looking for quarters or storage, like some place where there would be things that are not food.
So as you move left into the building or into the structure, you see that there is a living space. It's relatively small, and you see that there is a hall that goes down, which is probably towards a bedroom. And if you take that path,
That's where I'm going.
that's the only path you can take. You see there is a toilet, and then there is just beyond that to the left, the hall turns left, and then you see an office, and you see at the end of the hall a bedroom.
I'll kind of peek right and then peek left. You said the office was to my left?
Yeah.
Okay, and the kitchen was to the right. So I'm pretty much as far away from the kitchen as I can be in this building.
The only further you could get would be the bedroom.
Okay. And there's no one else in this building that I'm aware of.
No.
Okay. So I will, is the office door, are all the doors like wide open?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay. Then I will slip left into the office.
Okay.
And I'll mostly shut the door. Like, I don't want to make any noise necessarily. If I hear it creak, I'll just stop. And I'm going to take a look around.
Okay.
It's like, I don't know if it's a library or like desk, that kind of stuff.
You see a desk, you see bookshelves, you see a lot of religious material and iconography, so crosses and the like. It seems that this office is pretty well used. You see a lot of candle holders in here. It also looks like there is a lantern that's nearby. Why don't you make me a spot hidden roll?
It's 29 over 50.
There does appear to be it's a multi-level desk, so there's the main desk area and then there are shelves and whatnot that sit just at the edge of it. And one of these shelves there is a box. The box is mostly black, but there are what look like some kind of burnt or rubbed red edges to it. It doesn't look like it was made for any specific purpose per se. It was more look like a wood carver maybe stained it or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely catches your eye.
It's just like a closed box.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just like something I could open?
Yeah.
I'll look over my shoulder once and then kind of take a couple fingers and slide it open.
You open it up and there is a black, like leather wrapped journal in it. It's relatively thin.
Does everything in here seem recently disturbed?
Yes.
Like everything that I'm rifling through? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't quite moved to the desk yet, but can I still hear Mrs. Bright kind of banging around in the kitchen?
You do hear her banging around in the kitchen, I should say. You see that there are a couple of... it seems like there are two or three different sets of papers here that are on his desk. It looks like he was working on something. One of it's in a language you do not understand readily.
Okay. So I will palm the journal and kind of wheel to my right and look over my shoulder at the desk. Is there any way for me to determine what language it might be in? Like, does it look off, or does it look like it's written in... Does the language look, I don't know, Roman in nature? Like, are there normal letters?
Yeah, there are normal letters.
Okay.
You don't know if it's Latin or not.
Sure.
But the journal itself looks fairly old.
So I'll flip open the cover and see if there's anything regarding, like, whose this is, or...
You see a sheaf of paper that has sits in the front of it. And it looks like it's been written relatively recently, at least especially from the movement of the pen. It says, "I only glimpsed it momentarily when I was walking home after visiting one of my parishioners. It was around 9 o'clock, and the moon was full, although a heavy mist had risen. As I was opening the iron gate, I heard a heavy breathing a few feet away. Looking up, I saw a huge dark shape, shrouded in what mist was collecting around the area. While the form was obscured, its burning red eyes filled me with terror. It let out a blood-curdling cry, and I knew it had seen me. Without thought, I bolted into the house and locked the door, thanking God for my safety."
Okay, so to a couple questions. Does this look like it was written by the Reverend?
It's hard to say unless you dig into his papers and do some handwriting analyzation.
Well, so I'm looking at, like, there's a bunch of stuff he was writing on his desk, right? So I'll do, like, a quick comparison. Can I do that?
Sure. Give me an edu roll.
Hard success.
Yeah, that definitely looks like his handwriting.
Okay. Do I have any idea what he was working on?
Hard to say, but the closest you could get, you're fairly educated, so with a hard success, I'll give you the idea that it's likely he was working on translating what's ever in this journal.
So the rest of the journal is written in
a language you do not speak, although it has a semi-Roman alphabet.
Okay. And the note was just, like, tucked in it, but the note was written by the Reverend of the book. The journal was not.
Correct.
Okay.
At least as far as you can tell.
As far as I can tell. In my best estimation. All right.
Make me another stealth roll.
Yeah, I was about to. God's be with me. That's an extreme success, 7 out of 75.
Very nice. You hear footsteps, and they walk down the hall, and then they come directly to the doorway. You see the handle turn, and with a quick movement, you pirouette back towards the door, and you tuck yourself into the coat rack area that's behind the door. As the door opens, and Mrs. Bright walks in, and she sets down the sandwich plate. Hold my breath. And you see just out of the corner, from what you can see, because there's a mirror on the far side of the room, you see her pick up the box that was on the desk and put it back in its holding spot on the shelf. And she kind of hums a bit and then turns around and walks out. And you drown as panic hits you like a bucket of water.
I'll wait to breathe.
Probably a sound plan.
So I have two thoughts. One is whether or not there's a window in this room, and whether it opens easily.
There is a window in this room. You're not sure whether or not it opens easily.
Okay. I will inspect the window.
Just from judging it, it looks like it's probably the only way they get fresh air in here, so it's likely it opens.
Which side of the building am I facing? Am I facing the church? Am I facing away from the church?
You are facing away from the church.
Okay. So I am going to gently get the window open. I don't know if it opens out or up.
It goes up.
Okay. I will slide it up as high as I need to make my way out. You said single story, right? So I should be able to just kind of slide out.
Why don't you give me a dexterity roll? I, having myself climbed out of a few single-story windows,
Sure.
it might not be a bad idea, just to make sure that you can extricate
Jeez.
yourself.
4 luck, please. Can I spend 4 luck?
You can absolutely spend 4 luck.
Okay. So close. 75 out of 75.
Yep. You...
Doesn't need to be perfect.
It's not. But you get out and get the window shut.
Okay.
I guess you're going to leave the church grounds, likely?
I will... Yeah, I'll head back toward the road and keep an eye on the door for the... What did you call them? The gaggle? the gaggle to exit?
Yeah, you can see that they're exiting. It looks like they're heading over towards the inn.
I will take a moment to like remove my hat and dab the sweat that is probably pooled at this point. Put my hat back on, and I will fall behind them.
You all are joined by Simone. He seems like he is in a bit of a hustle.
Winded. Well, winded.
What are you running from?
That remains to be seen. I believe the Reverend may have dropped this. I'll slide the note into Jack's hand. Perhaps we should go inside and talk about this.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because that is where I'm going to call tonight's session. And then we will pick up next week as the investigators get in to a completely new set of clues, perhaps. So thank you all so much for joining us, and all of our Patreon supporters again. You can join them and join our pre-show fistfight sessions. You could have a hand in what happens to our player characters, our investigators, as it were. You could even join the show. And you can just go to patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast to do that. And we will see you next week.